you're not informed,
If you don't know where you come
Okay,
from,
less than a minute.
you will never find where you're going.
When Nigeria is working, we will all know.
PDP
Super
and
Eagles
us
at the Africa
are
Cup of Nations
diametrically
winner in
opposed.
South.
oh yeah. Sahara TV, and them be the TV, the best TV, information, education, inspiration. Sahara TV, they get
I am from Sahara TV. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
education, inspiration. Sahara TV, they get mouth, they get mouth.
Hi viewers, welcome back to Sahara TV. My name is Adeola Fayong. Now in this segment, we want to talk about the Super Eagles performance at the Africa Cup of Nations going on right now in South Africa. And to talk with me about that is none other than Mr. Olajide Fashikun. He is a sports analyst, but he doesn't just report about sport. He's been in the business. He was a professional athlete in Nigeria. He played handball, football, track and field. So he knows the in and out of this business. He's also the managing editor of gongnews.net. So Mr. Fashikun, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you.
So let's start with, the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in South Africa. So far, how will you rate the performance of the Super Eagles?
Ordinarily, it won't have to be very fair. One will consider the fact that the rebuilding process started by Coach Stephen Keshi just started taking shape some couple of months back. So to that level, I want to say to you that one will not expect anything tremendous from the team. And like I said earlier before the tournament kicked off, one expects the team to be able to string out of the group. But if any other result comes outside of the group phase, it's just bonus. So ordinarily, I will say too that the team has been able to try its best. And I'm sure the best cannot go beyond the point where they are presently.
Oh, so you saying that the team has tried his best, but I'm really wondering what happened. Super Eagles used to be feared by other, other teams. We used to do really well. Nigeria was very well known when it comes to soccer. What happened over the last few years? I mean, how can we have 1-1 with Zambia? I'm not, no offense to Zambia, but, Burkina Faso 1-1. What is going on?
Let's also put it in perspective. While other parts of Africa were developing football at their cadet level, Nigeria slept. The Youth Sports Federation of Nigeria, Youth Fund, which used to be the factory of youth in Nigerian football, went into oblivion. Maladministration and serious corruption came into the game. At the end of the day, we found a lot of manipulation of the statutes of Nigerian football, which was one that had caused a lot of distraction and confusion and a lot of legal matters for Nigerian football. So within the environment that Nigerian football has found itself, we find out that a lot of things were just going wrong and other parts of Africa were growing while we were not growing. We were just busy living and thinking that our old name will always get us some respect in the game. Whereas you also appreciate the fact that sports is a practical thing. Yeah. It's scientific. Are you just able to do what you're supposed to do, then you get the kind of result you're supposed to get. But in the moment where you don't do what you're supposed to do, you get the kind of result that Nigeria has been getting and we are getting.
I'm glad that you brought up the issue of corruption because that leads me to my next question. How much will you say that corruption has affected our athletic performances in Nigeria, not just in soccer, but even like at the Olympics, for example, we didn't do well, at least I mean, it's only like the Paralympics athletes that did well. How much has corruption affected the athletic sector in Nigeria? And what exactly at this, in what form are this corruption in Nigeria that are affecting our athletes?
I would say that corruption has been the major bulk of why sports has taken a nosedive in Nigeria. And like you said, it's not just in football. Ordinarily, in the last 2 years, there are just 3 sports federations that you can say are actually existing in the country, and that's to say, chess, Scrabble, and basketball. These are 3 federations that have been able to ensure that there is no corruption within their system, and they have a very active youth development program, and that's part of the reasons why, for instance, the basketball team was able to come from the Blues and qualify for the Olympics. But beyond that, every other sport has been a function of absolute corruption. Our athletics is worse because you find out the quality of fraud in athletics is terribly high. And every other sports sector has been running short on expectation and integrity and transparency.
When you talk about corruption in athletics, I'm trying to break this down, like the forms of corruption. Does this include the fact that nowadays it's not about how good you are, but who you know that gets you in the team?
Now, let's put it quickly this way. The International Athletics Federation, the global body, pays money to all its member nations to fund their secretariat because they don't want their member countries to depend on the government of the host nation in managing their secretariat properly. Now, the Ghanaian Athletics Association had to put its own Secretary General on prosecution by not disclosing the fact that they get this kind of grant from the international body. Now, you come back to Nigeria. Nigeria also get the same $10,000 grant from the IAAF for the payment of the Secretary General salary. Whereas the Secretary General of the Nigerian Athletics Federation is a civil servant, a senior civil servant. Now, the question is this. Her salary is paid by the federal government of Nigeria, just the same way that the IAAF pays $10,000 her salary, then it is double payment. Where then does this money go into? Nigerian athletes, when they go like other African athletes for major IAAF-funded programs, the IAAF pays for transportation, pays for the lodgement of the athletes, and a particular number, which is 55% of the number of athletes you're presenting in any event. Whereas the Athletics Federation collects the same money from the Nigerian government. For the last athletic season alone, this money amounts to 650 million naira.
Wow.
So you imagine if 650 million naira had been put into youth development at primary and secondary school level, our athletics can never be where we are. And there is the issue of sex scandals, where coaches should be demanding for sex from teenage athletes of theirs. There is also the issue of the drug web. There is a very serious drug web in Nigeria. There is a case of a drug case that was caught in Calabar at the last All-Nigerian national trials. This case was not made open, and yet the Federation tried to cover it up. This is the quality of corruption and maladministration that is going on in the system.
Wow. And it's so sad that it seems nothing has been done about all this. I mean, I wonder if anybody is investigating all this and, you know, exposing all these things. It's quite sad.
Most of this are exposed.
But then nothing is done.
I remember the issue of the sex scandal. It was brought to a notice of the commission, the sports commission. Now, the next thing, the federation, that is the accused federation, is not trying to ask the athlete who is assaulted to come to face a panel that is set up by the same federation. So they are trying to become a judge and prosecutor in their own matter. And until I screamed blue mother, the next thing they did was to leave the matter open and blank. Now, this same lady went back, continued her training, and when she came back to Calabar, she was able to return a time that was qualified. That qualified her to run at the last World Junior Championship. Her name mysteriously got missing from the list.
Wow.
So the question now is, she is now being discriminated against. The same athlete with her potential now, her parents are saying, leave athletics, go back and face your studies. Nigeria is losing. The world of athletics is losing. Now, how many kids are also involved in this kind of situation?
That's not...
The quality of coaches you find in the Nigerian athletics team is terrible. Many of them, if not all of them, are dropped out. They never finish in any university anywhere. And I stand to be challenged on this.
Now,
some of them are known and have been red-taped and starred as drug couriers, even by the International Athletics Federation. Yet they are national coaches in Nigeria's athletics team. How do you expect athletics to grow?
And I'm sure that that's not the only case. That's just the one that was made known. I'm sure there are other females that probably would prefer not to speak out about assault and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you brought up a point about if the money, the 650 million naira, had been diverted into schools and stuff, that our sports, our athletic field wouldn't be where it is today. I wanted to say quickly that here in the U.S., right now they've started preparing for the next Olympics, which is in 4 years. They start training their athletes from high school. You know, and when you get to college, you're playing and hoping to get in the NFL. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but like they invest in these people. It's not like the week that they are going for the Olympics that they start to invest in them. They start investing in them over the years, like from when they are young. What can you say about our level of preparedness when we're going for like a game? What would you say about how much we prepare, you know, Nigerian athletics sector?
You know, just like I told the nation 3 months before the last Olympics, I said Nigeria was not going to make a medal out of the last Olympics. And I'm too sure that I can comfortably say from what I have seen on ground now that even in Rio de Janeiro, Nigeria is still not going to make any medal out of the regular Olympics. And my basis is this. You need 2,400 program days, not regular days of the calendar, program days, to produce an Olympic medalist.
Wow.
We have less than 1,400 days to the Olympics. Now the question is this: where are the athletes that Nigeria wants to use in the next Olympics?
Yeah.
They are just not anywhere. There is no plan anywhere. The minister told the nation just a couple of days back, Innocent Egbenike does not have a contract with the Sports Commission. Now that means that athletics, for instance, does not even have a national team coach. So when it is the 11th hour, you now find out they will rush to the National Assembly. They take so much money, and they start doing all these flowery things to show the world, they are busy doing something, whereas they are busy doing nothing. For the African Nations Cup, the ongoing All African Nations Cup, Nigeria is spending 1.4 billion naira.
Wow.
And yet, what are you doing with 205 girls in South Africa?
So, in other words, it's like we failed to plan, which is indirectly planning to fail. And then when we get to the Olympics and we didn't perform, we're asking what happened. Is this the witches and the wizards?
No, but the same witches and wizards have helped us to continue to misbehave and never know how to plan.
Yeah.
The PDP, the ruling People's Democratic Party, has set up 3 different committees since they started ruling Nigeria in 1999 to find out why Nigeria has been failing. We had General Samuel Odomudia committee report. The next time we failed again. they set up another committee under under Group Captain Samson Omerua. Now, when we started the game, they set up another committee under General Ishola Williams. The question is this. We have continued to behave like the Bourbons of France that learned nothing from history and forgot nothing to history, by continuously failing perpetually on the same sports. Now, what happened to those three committees? Why has the PDP not percolated these committee reports together? There are statistics that have shown that if we do what we're supposed to do properly, we will produce 2 million jobs from sports at no cost to the government of Nigeria. Then why are we not doing this? And that means that the party has tenaciously made itself the biggest enemy of the Nigerian youths.
Okay, Mr. Fashikun, we're running out of time, but quickly, I just want to ask 2 more questions. But, you know, of everything that we've been talking about, I keep wondering, why is it that Nigerian players, when they play for foreign clubs, they actually do better? They're like, you know, stars. They're well known when they play for other people outside Nigeria. And then when they come to Nigeria to play, it's like we don't do that well. Why is that?
I think that question will be better answered when you look back again at the Twitter handle of Emmanuel Eboy of AFCON and Côte d'Ivoire. Emmanuel Eboy today had to taunt Nigeria and Nigerians, saying that in Côte d'Ivoire, they play for the nation. But in Nigeria, that the nation pays them for the players to play for the nation.
I see. That answers my questions. And also, I want to talk a little bit about racial discrimination towards African players in Europe. I'm sure that you're aware of the Ghanaian player, Kevin Boateng, that walked off the field last month, and also Samuel Eto'o and other people like that. What do you think that is this like a rampant thing, you know, that happens? And why is it that even right now so many people in Europe are still discriminating towards African players, even though they play really well for them?
No, but again, to you, first of all, consider that when the head gets rotten, definitely the body has to also get rotten. For FIFA presidents to have made the kind of comment he made on racial discrimination, it has given enough petrol for any other person to go ahead and just do whatever they want to do. And for so long as this continues to go on, we'll continue to serve all the bad and the very ugly face of racism in sports, and especially in football. And the truth of it all, the bottom line, again, is the fact that you cannot do without the African player, because the African player is one who has a lot of skills that make the game interesting and sweet to watch. Now, if that's the case, can the whites play the football alone? Ironically, football, like every other sport, is a religion of its own. It has its own passion and its own emotion. Now, if racism is not tackled, it will someday, sometimes, lead to people taking guns and fighting against each other. But FIFA, having taken a position that is not respected and respectable, has also made it clear that the world can die on the anvil of racism. And that's what the world has to tackle.
So do you think it's a good decision that Kevin walked off the field that day?
If I were him in shoes, I would have also walked off the pitch.
I think so. Well, Mr. Fashikun, what do you think about this coming Sunday, Nigerians' performance? What would you predict, you know?
It will be a misnomer, and it will be out of place if Nigeria beats Côte d'Ivoire. Given the fact that Côte d'Ivoire has been able to invest in its youth over the years, and today in Africa, no nation has the quality and the quantity of A-graded stars like the Ivorians. So ordinarily, I think I'm looking forward to the Ivorians winning the game.
Oh,
But I
wow.
also expect that Nigerians should be able to use the opportunity to earn some experience and learn the ropes so that in the nearest future, by the time the current crop of the Ivorian big stars are expiring, they should be maturing. And that was what Zambia did. In Mali Nations Cup, we found out that the Zambians were about 65% matured. But in next Nations Cup, they had matured, and that was why they went ahead to win. In football, like in every other sport, it's a science. It is something you have to take like a staircase. But in a situation where you want to jump from the ground floor to the first floor, then you are going to crash land.
But Mr. Fashikun, I believe that there are so many talented players in Nigeria as well, though. I'm not even talking about Super Eagles. So many people are playing in their villages, and they have great skills, but nobody knows who they are, and no one is putting them on the team.
No, but you can't really find that. You ask yourself, what exactly is the FA doing about such issues like the standardization of youth academies in the nation? They're doing really practically nothing. This is an FA that has been swimming comfortably in the swamp of dirty waters of illegality. 2 Nigerian courts have pronounced the NFF as illegal. One court says that they should be rounded up by the Corporate Affairs Commission. But then they are still existing because some person somewhere are aiding and abetting them to go ahead and make the Nigerian judiciary look irresponsible. Now, the issue is this. If this continues, can we really get the best out of it? Because the people who continue to manage Nigerian football today are not part of the best human resources we have in this country.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your insight, Mr. Fashikun. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
All right, viewers, that has been Mr. Olajide Fashikun. He's a sports analyst, and I'm sure that you've enjoyed everything that he has said about the performance of Super Eagles, especially at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in South Africa. Stay tuned, we have more segments coming up. We'll be right back.